Missourian, and they have much more than just wings. Freshly made burgers, wraps, subs, quesadillas, entree salads. You can try their smoked ribs and much more. It is wings, etc. And this is the next to last spring coaches show. Next week in Cape at 12 noon will be our last coaches show of the spring. And we'll be talking a lot of Redhawks baseball on this show. The Redhawks are in action tonight. They'll be at home to take on the Salukis from SIU Carbondale. The Redhawks head coach, Andy Sawyers, is here. What a great day. Now, we'll talk about what the weather looks like this weekend when Big Bad Tennessee Tech, the first place team in the league, comes in here. But the weather for tonight's tailgate and matchup with the Salukis, perfect.
Perfect baseball weather. We're excited to play, and we're excited to play with it being dry after the weekend we had last weekend down in Murray. So we're definitely looking forward to the better weather and getting back on the field here at home.
You know, when you say how much can weather affect the game, how much can weather affect a series? Well, man, it affected, I thought, a couple of games. I thought with some misfooting in the outfield, game 2 was an advantage for you. They had a couple of guys slip down. You may have gotten a call on what was ruled a triple. It might have been a ball caught, but the guy catches it on a dry field. And then Friday, you have to endure a 2-hour rain delay, and your ace pitcher, Clay Chandler, had only thrown 4 innings, and you couldn't bring him back after the rain delay. It directly affected that ball game.
That was the disappointing thing for me, just in terms of the weather. When you play when it's wet, both teams have to contend with the footing and the field conditions. But our bullpen is a little depleted with injuries. You know, our closer Carlos Vega's out, and Pennington's been out all year, and we've been starting to get some mileage out of Josh Haggerty, local boy, and he's out now with a bad shoulder. So we've had to endure some serious adversity in the bullpen. And then, Clay Chandler, who's been so good for us, leading the OVC in wins and probably the best starting pitcher in the OVC, in my opinion. He's pretty much a lock for 6 innings every time out, at least 6.
And he's number 1 in ERA.
Yeah. So, he's the best starting pitcher in the league. And we have a lead through 4 innings. And then the rain comes, and I think it's about 2 hour, 15 minutes somewhere in there, rain delay. And then it's not doing the right thing by Clay to run him back out after sitting down for 2 hours. So Clay's done after only 4 innings, and then we've got to get five innings out of the bullpen, and they did good. Jimmy Burris came in and gave us 3 zeros, but they did get us in the 4th and the 8th inning. And if you just figure Clay gives you his normal 6, and then we have to get 3 innings from the pen, we win that game because Clay is that's what he does every time out. So that was frustrating to have a lead in the game, but only get 65 pitches and 4 innings out of Clay Chandler. When he's your best, you obviously want him out there for, Clay's going to go 6 and 100 pretty much every time out. So that was a frustration to not be able to get more out of him this weekend.
And I thought you could probably make an argument. You may have gotten 7 out of him, because what I noticed, there were a lot of early swings in the counts, and all of a sudden he has a 5-pitch inning. Maybe he gives you 7 innings. So I'm not saying you win the game. I'm saying it affected the game in that the best statistical starting pitcher in the league couldn't come back after the rain delay.
Yeah, no doubt. That was unfortunate for us, obviously, but that's the hand we were dealt. We had to play it. So, that was definitely one area that the series was impacted by the weather, definitely.
So you may have won that first game, and I thought really credit to both teams, because you have a 2-run lead in the 8th. They score 4. And here you go to the 9th. You're down to your final 3 outs on the road. You just gave up a 2-run lead. And, a lot of teams probably 1, 2, 3, or they put a base runner on, get the tying run up there, game over. Man, 2 guys in your lineup, Chris Osborne and Dan Holst, just tremendous at-bats. They both, force walks, and they end up scoring, and you tie the game in the 9th. They hit a walk-off home run in the 10th inning. But just to come back and tie the game in the 9th, I thought spoke to a little bit of the character of your team. And those 2 guys who have carried you offensively all year, Osborne and Holst, were tremendous in getting on base in the 9th inning.
Yeah, those were some big-time ABs with a game on the line there. We've dealt with a lot in terms of adversity, and balls not bouncing our way. But our kids have never stopped competing, and they've never quit. And, we have the 4-run inning and then the bottom of the 8th where they just have to go get 3 outs and the game's over. And then our kids respond and give us a really nice push there in the 9th, 2 leadoff walks, and, Gagnon with a really nice swing and just kind of punched right back after their big inning. Definitely proud of our kids' competitiveness and their stick-to-itiveness and just kind of staying in the fight there.
Speaking of Tristan Gagnon, He struggled a little bit there. He didn't have a real good game against the Billikens. Most everybody else did. He'd kind of just been scuffling just a little bit. Boom, he picked it up this weekend. Had a really good weekend with the bat.
Yeah, and that's he's been a little streaky for us this year, and that first year Division I baseball, they're pitching him a little bit tougher than they pitched him in junior college. It's a better level, it's more advanced, but he gives you bursts of just greatness where he can put us on his back and carry us, for a couple games or for a week, and I think that's him. He's sitting right around 300 with, I can't remember, 6 or 7 home runs, and he's leading us in RBIs somewhere in there. 314, 8 homers, 42 RBIs. That's a pretty solid season for your first year Division I baseball. It's pretty darn good production for your first year.
Slugging 579.
Yeah. I think he's going to be a monster as a senior, and it really has nothing to do with him getting better as a physically. He's got his swing is what it is as a junior. Very strong individual. Just in terms of understanding how they're going to pitch the cleanup hitter at the Division I level. They're not going to throw you 2-0 fastballs. They're not going to lay good pitches into hit with runners in scoring position. They're going to throw him. They're going to spin him in fastball counts. They're not going to give him good pitches to hit with runners on base, and just kind of understanding those things, I think, are where his improvement is going to come. And pretty darn good year, first year Division I baseball. Those numbers, I think he's going to be an absolute monster as a senior when he kind of has that year of experience under his belt and that kind of wisdom that comes with They say the difference between expensive experience and inexpensive experience is mistakes that other people make, and expensive experience is the mistakes that you make and learn from. It's. I wish all the young people, and I know we all wish our kids would learn from our examples and the words we use, but sometimes you have to go through those things yourselves to learn those lessons. And he's doing a pretty nice job in the final analysis of his first year Division I baseball. It's pretty solid year.
Boy, I know you've got some guys putting up big time numbers. Chris Osborne's an All-American. Everyone knows it. Big numbers this year. Dan Holst has hit 400 most of the year, 500 on base. Everybody knows it. But I think the most physically imposing guy is Gagnon. I mean, when he gets up there, I mean, you can see his numbers, but he's a big hoss of a guy. And if there's someone in the lineup who may intimidate a pitcher, I got to believe the guy's Gagnon.
He's a big man. Yeah, he's a big man. His nickname is Beefy, and not because of how he looks, but because he comes from a cattle ranch. So, Beefy's favorite line is "The West wasn't won on salads." So he is a fan of red meat and potatoes. So he's definitely a man of some stature and some strength.
All right. So you fall in the first game. You're getting ready to play the second game of the doubleheader. You see the weather forecast because you moved the doubleheader to Friday. No chance. I mean, you don't want to get your starting pitcher in there, get him hot, and then do what you had in the first game. Big rain delay. Maybe it gets postponed, for the rest of the weekend where you have to pick it up later, and then you lose Justin Murphy. Nobody wanted to do that, so they banged the second game. No baseball on Saturday because of the rain. Then you come back for an 11 a.m. game on Sunday, and a game that you won, but I know you won the game 4-3. There were some dicey moments there in the ninth inning where they loaded the bases, had the winning run in scoring position. A game where you stranded 14 base runners, and I haven't really heard you say this much. You say, "Well, I really don't get on my team after they win a game," but I was a little feisty after the 4-3 win on Sunday.
A little bit. Justin Murphy just finished up a 16 consecutive scoreless inning streak. We got another wonderful start from Murph. And then we had some really, I thought, a really clutch outing from Ryan Lossman, who was coming, off a start, his longest appearance of the year, where he started against SLU a week ago and just gave us a really, really nice performance. Didn't really plan on having to use Ryan in that situation, and we had to go to him to win the game. And he had some really, really high stress, high leverage pitches there in the ninth inning to get the win. But the reason why that game was in doubt is because we didn't spread them out. And that's something that our team hasn't been great at this year. If you look at our run production early in games, we're fantastic. We really are good at starting fast. We can jump out and take a lead. But for some reason, if I knew the answer, we would have it addressed and have it fixed. We can jump out, we grab a lead, and then we tend to sit on it. And if you let a team hang around, they are going to make a move. It's like the old line about the NBA. Everybody makes a run. Well, in college baseball, if you can add one, say we score 4 early, and then we can put one up on the board in the fourth, and we might put two up in the sixth. And as long as you keep that momentum of changing the number and keep scoring, the other team isn't going to make it's going to be hard for them to make a push. But our kind of MO, and it's not on purpose, obviously, we're trying to do better at this, but we come out, we score early, and then we tend to sit on the lead. And then, you let a team sit around, they're going to have a chance to make a run late. And that's exactly what Murray did. Playing at home, we have multiple opportunities to extend the lead. And then we don't, and then they make their run late, and we've got to go to Lossman for the save. So
he had to get 4 outs.
4 outs, a 4-out save from a guy that I wasn't planning on using.
Well, he had to get 4 outs in the ninth inning, too, because you committed an error. So he did get an out, but you didn't get the out.
He actually got 5 total outs because we had to bring him get him on the field 1 out in the eighth, and he got the double play to get off the field in the eighth. So if there was one thing we could better, and I kind of challenged our guys, it's certainly not want to. It's certainly not, no one's trying to make an out. No one's ever going to try to strike out, but we need to be a little tougher, and by that, I mean, it's not a physical toughness thing. It's more of a mental thing. I think you talk about what it takes to be a great football player. Obviously, physical toughness is such a premium in that sport. Baseball is more of a mental toughness type of deal where, it's the sixth inning and you've been on your feet for 4 hours and we already have a lead. Can you maintain your focus? Can you maintain your sense of urgency? Can you maintain the discipline that it takes to have good at-bats? Like you said, in the ninth inning on Friday, once we gave up the lead, with the game on the line, our sense of urgency was great. We had some phenomenal at-bats. Danny Holst had I think a 9-pitcher, and then Osborne had another long at-bat, just grinded out those at-bats and fought and scratched and set the inning up for us to tie that game with 2 runs in the ninth inning. With the game on the line, our guys have competed really well. What's hurt us is the middle of the game. We jump out, we get a lead, and the middle of the game, our focus is not quite what it needs to be. And so to me, that's a little bit of a toughness thing. Can we have the grit to compete for 9 innings and 27 outs instead of we do what it takes early, we grab a lead, and we put it on cruise control a little bit, and then we don't extend that lead? That's something we've talked about a lot. If I knew the exact right button to push, I would push it. I think that's just kind of a little bit of a maturity thing and a toughness thing of knowing that, it's easy to understand the game's on the line if you get to the plate with a tie game in the ninth inning and a runner at second base. Like, everybody knows the game's on the line. Well, that at bat you have in the sixth inning might be for the game as well. It might be a 4-1 game with us having a lead. And if you can punch across that last run to make it 5-1, then you have the momentum and the team kind of lays down. Sometimes the games are won and lost. There's always a moment of decision for the game, and the moment of decision is not always at the end. The moment of decision can very often be in the middle of the game. And I feel like our focus in those situations is probably not quite what it needs to be. And so, we talk about it and we address it, but there's only one way to get through that is just keep putting in those situations and keep letting them grow up and hopefully get better through the experience and the opportunities.
So you split the first 2 games, and by OVC rules, if you are forced by weather and scheduling change to play a doubleheader on a Sunday, the second game of the doubleheader has to be a 7-inning game. Now, a few years ago, they went away from these high school 7-inning games, and they got rid of those. They used to play 2 7-innings on Saturday. Then they went to a 9 and 7 on Saturday. Then they went to Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So no more 7s. That is the only scenario where the conference will play a 7-inning game. And so you were embarked on that. And in those games, because they seem so short, getting an early lead is important. And it was Murray that got the early lead.
Yeah, exactly right. They put 7 up on us in the first 2. Sundays seem to be our big Achilles heel. We've really been extraordinarily inconsistent on the mound on Sundays, and that's the expression is Sunday run day, and with the meaning of that, meaning you get to the end of the pitching staff and you're a little bit deeper on the staff, and your bullpen has already had to throw innings, and it's easier to score runs, and we have definitely kind of lived up to that on a pitching and defense standpoint. We've allowed too many runs on Sunday. Sundays are a mystery for us right now, and it's not as if we have the wrong personnel. Robert Beltran won 9 games on Sundays as a junior and was fantastic, was a first-team All-OVC performer last year as a junior, pitching on Sundays, and has not had the same year for us right now. And I promise you, it's not because of work. It's not because of want to. It's not because of selfishness. Robert is a hardworking kid. He's a great teammate. He's committed to the team. He's wanting to win for SEMO and his teammates. He just hasn't had the year that we all thought he was going to have. He's a guy that relies on command and pitchability, and his command has not been what it needs to be. We made the move 2 weeks ago to try to get Nate Green into that role. Nate Green has been fantastic on midweeks. Nate Green, we beat Missouri with Nate Green. We beat Missouri State with Nate Green. Nate Green has given us some fantastic outings starting on Tuesday on the midweek. And then we get Nate Green to Sunday, and then he got hit pretty hard the last 2 weeks. So right now our Sunday starting pitcher, it's been a mystery for us. We haven't been able to get that piece solved. So the plan going forward for this weekend with Tennessee Tech is, Ryan Lossman had a marvelous start last Tuesday against SLU. Might have been our best overall game of the year. We played good defense. We swung the bats good pitching. So we used Ryan to start on Tuesday. He then closed out the win on Sunday, game 1. We had to use him to close that one out. And then we're going to make every attempt to have him start the Sunday game against Tennessee Tech, and hopefully he kind of gives us the outing that we need to be more competitive on Sundays. That being said, with the kind of injuries to our bullpen, we will use Ryan Lossman if necessary to close out a win on Friday or Saturday. So kind of his approach to his week is doing his prep work in terms of his bullpen and his lifting schedule is to be the Sunday starter. But he is definitely going to be available out of the bullpen if we need him on Friday or Saturday. We definitely don't want to waste a start from Clay Chandler or Justin Murphy because we don't have everybody available. So we're going to play to win Friday or Saturday. And if we need an inning out of Ryan to get a win, we'll definitely use him. And then the plan would be to start him on Sunday.
So if he is needed earlier in the series against Tennessee Tech, then you just try to piece it together on Sunday.
That's right. And Nate Green has been fantastic on Tuesdays. He could get another opportunity. Robert Beltran, obviously, I keep trying to run him out there just because I believe in him as a human. I believe in him as a competitor. He had a great body of work, as a junior. So obviously he's a guy that we all have belief in. Just hasn't been getting it done for us this year. So, those probably are the options if we don't use Ryan Lossman.
All right. So they win the final game, and you are on your way back to Cape. What was the message to your team after the final game on Sunday as you come home? And this is you're down to 7 home games left. You're starting a big 4-game homestand today.
Yep. It's hard I know we didn't swing the bats great on Sunday. We didn't make a big push, but I know it's hard. I remember from when I was the hitting coach and coaching third base, it's hard when you're always trailing. We've trailed on Sundays. We've given up some big numbers on the mound on Sunday. We had to play from behind, and it's a really hard thing to do. If you're looking down 7 in a 7-inning game, that's really hard to really have the focus and the fight to push back when you're down that much in a 7-inning game. So really, we need to get Sunday solved from a starting pitching standpoint. We're putting ourselves in too big of a hole on Sundays when we're giving up those kinds of runs. But the message was more about we need a little more grit. You look at we have a lead on Friday, and granted, the weather changed that game with having Clay Chandler only on the mound for 4 innings. The weather certainly impacted it. That being said, we did have a lead in the 5th inning of that game, and the guys who are in there, they're in there for, obviously in a perfect world, we'd have Carlos Vega closing, and Carlos Vega hasn't on a pitch for 2 weeks. But he's not. He's hurt. And so the guys are out there, they need to get the job done. And so some of those guys are going to learn on the fly and adjust to new roles. But the guys are out there, we need them to show a little more grit and get some of those opportunities done for us. Offensively, we continue to stress being good in the middle of the game. It's one thing to get off to a great start, and then it's great to finish there in the 9th inning and have the big comeback, score the 2 runs down with their backs to the wall. But we need to be able to be good in the middle of the game when, we might have a 4-1 lead, but changing that number and making that a 5-1 lead or a 6-1 lead with continued pressure offensively. Sometimes that moment of decision can happen in the middle of the game. And I just feel like we could be a little grittier, be a little tougher there in the middle to where we continue the pressure on the opponent. So that was kind of the message. That's kind of how I saw the series this weekend, and hopefully we can get better at that this week.
Well, all the numbers say Carlos Vega is your best relief pitcher. You said he's injured. He has not thrown a pitch in 2 weeks. You're talking about a guy with a 3.45 ERA, 44 punch-outs versus 10 walks. Opposing hitters are batting .241 against him. Leads your team with 4 saves. What did the doctors say? What did the MRI say? Well, ask Coach Andy Sawyers that after the timeout. Here from Wings, etc. It is the Spring Coaches Show. We're talking Redhawks baseball with Andy Sawyers. Don't forget, Redhawks and Salukis, 6 o'clock tonight. Big tailgate at the game as well. So we hope to have a big crowd as the Redhawks look to pay back SIU, who beat them 2 weeks ago over in Carbondale. More with Coach Sawyers from Wings Etc. in Jackson after this on SEMO ESPN.
Etc. See, Wings Etc. has those award-winning jumbo wings. They're popular for both dine-in and carry-out. Now the word is getting out about Wings Etc.'s appetizer lineup. From the ultimate nachos to the deep-fried pickle spears, frankly, they're irresistible. Friends are sharing time together at Wings Etc. They've got dining rooms filled with HD TVs tuned to the best sports programming, including NFL Sunday Ticket. The people at the next table are talking about Wings Etc.'s daily half-pound lunch special, starting at just $6.49. Plus, Wings Etc. has food and drink specials throughout the week, including 59-cent wings every Monday. Plus, there's the kids menu, and Wings Etc. is family-friendly with video games in the dining room. And the whole community is excited about how Wings Etc. is locally owned and operated, and they're proud to support local athletes, their families, schools, and teams. I guess Wings Etc. is a really big deal around here.
Southeast Baseball can be heard all season long on the SEMO ESPN Network 92.9 FM. Also at SEMOESPN.com and download the SEMO ESPN app. Southeast Baseball is brought to you by Moreland Pre-Owned Center on Steamers Drive in Cape. Southeast Health. When cost and quality matters, choose Southeast Health. The Cape Girardeau Nature Center, Cape County Park North in Cape. And Code Chevrolet, 517 South Kings Highway in Cape.
And now, your ESPN Radio Network local weather forecast.
Springtime severe weather possible tomorrow as we'll see strong to severe storms break out tomorrow afternoon and continue through Wednesday night. Heavy rain possible Wednesday night and early Thursday. Sunshine here today, though, with a high 80. Clouds on the increase tonight, low 62. Scattered thunderstorms tomorrow. Tomorrow's high 77. We're True to Weather, the Weather Channel.
You're up to date with the latest weather forecast right here on the ESPN Radio Network. This is your local home for Mike and Mike, the Sports Huddle, and all your favorite teams. Get it all right here.
Makes my day go great.
On the SEMO ESPN Sports Network.
It's the Redhawks Coaches Show, live from Wings Etc. in Jackson. We're in Jackson today, our final spring Coaches Show of the season. It'll be our final one until football season. Will be next Monday or next Tuesday at noon next Tuesday, and we'll be back in the Cape Girardeau location. And I believe, Joe Hobbs is here. They come and they go, Hobbs. They come and they go. I believe Wings will be sponsoring Saturday's tailgate. All right. So if you want some of that great tasting Wings Etc. menu, you can stop by on Sunday or Saturday at the ballpark at Kappahaw. And don't forget about their daily half-pound lunch specials. They start at just $6.49 here at Wings Etc., where they're open 7 days a week and late on the weekends because the games run late. Where are you watching the Blues game tomorrow night? Why not choose Wings? I'll have it in high def. You can watch it right here. Good food, great times at Wings Etc. You want to watch Cardinal baseball? This is the home for the Redbirds. You can watch it in high definition right here at Wings Etc. 6 o'clock first pitch tonight with SIU. Coach Andy Sawyer is our guest here on the Coaches Show. So Southern knocked off Tennessee Tech last week. It's interesting that Tech has to make the long trip from Cookeville to Carbondale all the way back. Now they got to come all the way back over to Cape Girardeau. But Tennessee Tech, some people may not have known this, they were actually ranked last week. I don't believe they're ranked this week, but they were 26th in the nation with what they had been doing. Prior to the weekend, they were 30-9. 30-9. So just a really good start to the season. They're 16-2 in the league. They have a 3-game lead over Morehead State. But SIU swept them in Carbondale over the weekend. I think that was a surprise to many.
I think so. If you look at what makes Tennessee Tech go and the kind of baseball they play and the park at Carbondale, the two don't really fit.
Yeah.
Tennessee Tech is built around the home run. They've got big physical guys who are going to hit the ball in the air and try to drive the ball. And Carbondale is probably the least hitter-friendly park that we play in, certainly this year.
Tech's power alleys are 360, by the way, just so you know.
Carbondale's power alleys are significantly
Yeah.
deeper than that.
Yeah.
So I talked to the assistant at Carbondale this morning in terms of just getting scouting reports for Tech and in preparation for our series. And I said, well, tell me about them. And he says, well, they like to hit jacks, and you don't hit a whole lot of jacks at our place. That's the story of the weekend. They hit a lot of fly balls to the warning track, and their players were cussing on the way back to the dugout because they thought they were getting a hold of some balls, and our outfitters were camped. So,
and let's just let everybody know they're bat flippers, and they'll talk to you, and there'll be this from the dugout. There'll be a lot of chirping. This is a team that talks a lot, flips a lot of bats. I understand they're second in the nation in runs scored, big offense, but it did not jive for Itchy Jones Stadium over in Carbondale.
It didn't. So, that's just who they are. It's almost you don't want to change your style of play for one weekend too much. And playing at a really big, non-fly ball friendly ballpark is probably not a good matchup for Tennessee Tech. And they got beat 3 times this weekend.
So SIU Carbondale coming in here on a bit of a roll. It's interesting. They have not won 4 games in a row this year, SIU. And they have only won 2 midweek games, or 2-8. Now, one of those came against you, a game that you led 2-0. You kind of had a base running snafu there. You don't know how that affected the game, but I think you hit into 3 double plays in the first 5 innings. A lot of things just didn't go your way in that game, where you did have a multiple run lead over in Carbondale 2 weeks ago today.
Yeah, very much like we talked about with the series at Murray. We jump out and play really good offense, scored, we're up 2-0, and then we don't add on. And part of that is you're hitting a double plays, and that's we had the 1 double play, which I thought was a base running mistake, but we also hit into 3 other ones, just regular double plays. And I think if you're getting a lot of runners on base, then you're going to be, you're going to have those opportunities, and that's part of baseball. Sometimes the luck of the draw is when you hit a ball in the barrel and it goes right at somebody, there's going to be double plays. So I thought we actually probably played a little better than the scoreboard indicated at Carbondale, hitting into the 3 double plays, and we had the one, just a kind of a bad base running play, which took a run off the board. I think in the 4th inning of that game, but we definitely, that was another example of we jump out, get an early lead, and then we're unable to extend it. And the other team, you let them hang around, they're going to come back on you.
Well, and the one thing when you go into a game with SIU, it's not always the case with every team, but with this team, if you're trailing late, you're beat. Their closer is putting up All-American numbers. He's already tied their single-season saves record. He's already got 12. His name is Ryan Nettemeyer, and he pitched a scoreless inning against you over there. 127 earned run average. Hitters are batting 149 against him. I mean, if there is an automatic closer in college baseball, it is the guy who the Salukis have. So trailing late in a game against SIU, your chances are very low.
Yeah, score fast.
Yeah.
Don't let it get to the 8th or the 9th.
But I mean, do you game plan a little differently for a team that has a guy that's it? I mean, once he comes in the game, boy, you really got to plan on trying to have a lead.
I don't think it should affect how you play offense early in the game, but you need to be aware that there better be a sense of urgency. Sometimes, you feel like a team without a really good bullpen, it's almost like, well, we got this, in terms of how you approach the starting pitcher, right? Like you might try to pitch count the starter. Man, it might be a tough go with the starter, but if we can get him out of the game in 6, then we're going to have 3 innings to score on the bullpen. And with a team with a really good bullpen or a really good closer, you probably don't want to do that as much because it's not an advantage to get the starter out of the game. So when you have that team with an elite closer, the whole let's pitch count this guy and get him out of the game, you don't really want to talk too much about that because the stuff actually gets better when he gets out of the game. And not everybody in college baseball has that guy. I feel like we have that guy in Carlos when he's available, but obviously Carbondale does. Niedermeyer, he's a dude. He's legitimate. So definitely it's a maybe an approach where you want to beat the starter and not try to get the starter out of the game and beat the bullpen.
All right. We mentioned Carlos Vega before we went to break. He had to leave a game a couple of weeks ago, and he had a tender elbow. Mm-hmm. And so you had to shut him down. It took a few days before he could get in the MRI tube. He finally got the MRI, went to a specialist in St. Louis. What can you tell us about the status of Carlos Vega?
In terms of the injury, it's as good as it could possibly be. They came back and said that his UCL is 100% intact. No Tommy John, nothing of that nature. What it was is a strained flexor muscle that kind of is one of those small muscles around the elbow that gives the joint stability and strength. It's a strain there. So it's not a ligament. There's not going to be Tommy John surgery. It's just a matter of him healing that tissue and feeling better. So I was actually out of town yesterday recruiting, so I didn't get a chance to see Carlos with my eyes, but he began his throwing program yesterday. I know he threw. I have not yet talked to him to see how he feels. Best case scenario, it is conceivable he could be back pitching this weekend against Tennessee Tech. That's best case scenario, as good as it could go. I think a more realistic mindset would be we would get him next weekend. But at this point, because it's not like an injury with the ligament or anything like that, it just depends on feel. He might have felt great yesterday, and we might get him back this weekend for Tech. So obviously, we're holding out hope that would happen.
And with Tennessee Tech being second in the nation, and a lot of Division I baseball teams being second in the nation in runs scored, big offense, it would be nice to have an option like Carlos Vega.
100%. And I need to say this. I know it's, I know I've been frustrated with some of the luck we've had and some of the injuries and some of the adversity we've had to deal with. I feel like sometimes I'm talking down about our kids who are out there. Our kids who are out there, I'm a big fan of. Like, they're competing hard. They're giving us their very best effort. There's not been one time that I've been like, man, these kids aren't trying. They're not giving us their best. They are, but you know how it is in any sport. You lose some of your top guys. It's going to affect, the product on the field. And I saw Chris Osborne this morning. I drop off my son at school every day at 8, and our boys are kind of done lifting. The first lift group was kind of walking to the locker room, and Ozzie came by my office, and he's got a look on his face. And I said, Ozzie, I want you to know I'm proud of you. Right now we're not getting the results that we all want, but you need to know that I'm proud of you. I know you're competing with everything you've got. You're giving us your very best. Right now we're in a tough go. We don't really have the team on the field that we thought we would. We're not getting the results that we hoped we would, but I know you care. I know you're trying. I know you're working. That's all you can ask. We're in a tough go, and we're dealing with some serious adversity. But the kids that are out there and playing for us, some of those kids that maybe you're getting some opportunities because some other injuries, we're also getting some players out of it. We may not get paid back for it this year, but you look at Jimmy Burris. Jimmy's a young man that threw not at all last year, was not a factor one bit. And he had a win and a save in back-to-back conference games. He's made a start for us. He's logging some pretty significant innings and some pretty significant roles for us right now. If we'd been healthy, we wouldn't have found out about Jimmy Burris. Ryan Lossman is a guy we may not have had a chance to find out about. Ryan gave us a really good start last Tuesday against SLU, maybe the best game we played all year. He gives us a great go. He gets to finish a game and get a save in a conference game at Murray in a tough situation. He's throwing some really high leverage, high pressure pitches. We're learning about some of these kids, and it may be till next year we don't get rewarded till next year, but there's some young men that are growing up in front of our eyes. And, I really feel like the character of our kids has been good and the work has been good. And, we're going to be better in the long run for getting some of these guys into these situations. Like Danny Wright, there's another example. We hadn't thought Danny Wright might play second base every year, all year for us. But, lo and behold, he's played every game on the dirt. He's playing well. We're going to get paid back for sticking Danny Wright in these situations. And so, that's part of it. We're going to have to grow up through it. And obviously, we want more. We want more wins. We want to play better. We want to do better while we're at it. But at the same time, the kids are out there. I am not dissatisfied with their level of effort, their level of care, and their want to. They're giving us everything they have, and we have good kids. I know that they're frustrated just like we are in terms of we're not getting the results that we want right now. But it's certainly no indication of them or their character or their want to, because they're really giving us a good effort.
Yeah, when you say you talked with Ozzie this morning, you're speaking of Chris Osborne, who, by the way, there have only been 2 Redhawks who have started every game. Osborne's one of them, hitting .356. That was Shoeless Joe Jackson's career batting average, by the way. 7 home runs, 33 RBIs, leads the team in runs scored, total bases. Osborne, a .436 on base percentage. I got to know, though, he's been thrown out stealing 5 times. What's going on? He's better than that.
He's not getting reads and jumps is not his strength. We'll just put it like that. He's really good at hitting. The reads and jumps part of base stealing is not really his strength. You talk about Ozzie having a great year. Don't forget, that's a young man that got a cortisone shot into the bottom of his foot 2 weeks ago because he couldn't even walk. He was in a boot, and when he played hurt that weekend at Eastern Illinois, won the series.
For those who don't know, he had started every game in right field, and for 4 games he didn't start in right. He was just the DH. because of his foot, but never missed a start.
So he would come off the field after his at bat, and he would take off his shoe and just sit in the dugout with no shoe on because his foot hurt that bad. It hurt even to put his shoe on. And then he would lace up his spike. He'd go take his at bat, and then he'd take his shoe off. He couldn't even keep his shoe on most of the game. And he had to get a cortisone shot at the bottom of his foot. I mean, that's a young man who's playing hurt and playing pretty well, playing hurt for us. So, you know, like I know I've mentioned, you know, some of the injuries, things like that. I you know, it's something to talk about because I think that's one of the reasons why we're at where we're at. But I certainly don't want to, you know, give the impression like I'm not proud of the young men who are out there competing for us, because they certainly are giving us everything they have and giving us a good go. And a lot of those guys are playing hurt as it is. I just found out on the way to Wings that one of our bench players, Garrett Reynolds, is about to have surgery on his hand because he has a fractured hand right now. So we're about to ready to lose another one. And that's not a guy who's playing significantly for us, but he's one of our role guys. He started the game we won at Missouri. He's a great teammate and a great kid and a good worker and pushes the guys who are in the lineup more often, but he's about to have surgery on his hand as well. So we've had some pretty significant adversity, but I am proud of the young men who are out there and the way they're competing.
And by the way, that series at Eastern Illinois where Chris Osborne had to take his shoe off between at bats, 5 hits, 2 doubles, and a home run that weekend.
Yeah, if my foot hurt like that all the time, I'd still be playing. I promise you that.
All right, and Garrett Reynolds, now that you say that, it looked like he was shaking his hand after he fouled off a pitch, and I kind of thought, well, you know, maybe, you know, sometimes you get bees if you get jammed. Sometimes you get the bees in the hands. And then he checked his swing on a strikeout, and he was looking at his hand. So it must have happened in that at bat.
He actually got hit. He
Okay.
got hit with a ball in the practice. Got hit on the hand. So
tried to play through it and didn't know that he
didn't know it was fractured at the time.
All right. Who sent him up to the plate with a broken hand?
Stupid coach. I don't know who that was.
But there's a guy, if you're talking about people on the team who are just absolutely ate up with baseball, ate up with being a part of the team and just working as hard as they possibly can. I know that can describe a lot of people, but it describes Garrett Reynolds, the young man from Woodland High School.
You know, you think it should describe a lot of people, but in life, it doesn't always. If you have 100 factory workers, you probably got 5 factory workers that work in that factory with their hair on fire. And you got 95 guys who are counting the minutes till their shift is done. You know, that's human nature. You know, most of us are average at most things in life, and you have a couple exceptions at either end of the curve. And Garrett is at the front of the curve in everything he does in life, with what he does in the classroom, with stuff he does in the community, with how hard he works at baseball, with how good of a teammate he is. You know, in the fall, we practiced at Jackson High School because we didn't have the field, and we're driving out there and having to move our gear all over the place. And, you know, you look at the end of the day, and then one of the things that Jackson asked us to do is just empty the trash cans out of the dugout so we've got, you know, you got cups from water jugs, and you've got ice bags from pitchers and all that stuff. And you know who carried the trash to his truck every day and then would drive it into town to dump it in the dumpster by Hauk Fieldhouse was Garrett Reynolds. That's the kind of kid he is. That's what he does. And so, you know, that's who he is, and he does that in every area of his life, not just baseball. And so, you know, there's another guy that's not going to be available. Not that he'd been, you know, starting regularly, but he's part of what we do, and he's an important part of what we do because he brings us energy and he brings us, you know, emotion, and he's out there grinding every day. So, he's probably going to have surgery in the next couple of days.
And let it be noted, in your best win of the season over the highest ranked team, Mizzou, they're ranked 18th. He was a starting third baseman for you in that.
That's right. That's right. So we were kind of in flux on the infield, and we weren't sure who to start. And I was sitting in the hotel room that morning, and, you know, Coach Ringy's like, we got this pro and this con. I said, let's start Money. Garrett Reynolds' nickname is Money. I said, Money's the one who's the toughest kid we got, and he cares the most. Let's just start Money. And, you know, obviously Coach Beezer knowing the roster, and he gets a lineup, and he and I were visiting my home plate. He's like, you're starting Garrett, huh? I said, yeah, he deserves it. And he's like, well, he said, no one cares more than Garrett. And so he knew why we did it. We were kind of a little bit in flux in terms of personnel, and we started the kid who cared the most. So, and we got to win that day.
Just wanted to note, in the big win over Mizzou, he was the starting third baseman for you. All right, SIU Carbondale, third in the nation in stolen bases. I mean, they're going crazy, Coach. 70 stolen bases already for SIU Carbondale. And their second baseman, his name is Connor Kopak. He's having a good year, 303 average, but 26 for 30 on the base pass. He stole 4 bases Sunday in one game, tying their school record in their win over Tennessee Tech. I mean, this guy is running all over the place, and a lot of the Salukis are.
that's I think a function of probably, we talked about their stadium and how it plays as a function of maybe Tennessee Tech's lack of offense this weekend. Well, they've built their team to that ballpark. They've got a park that's deep in the alleys, deep in center field. The wind blows in more often than not. And so they have chosen to recruit athletically over size and strength because they know it's a park that you're not going to get a lot of home runs at. So they've recruited good athletes, and they give them the green light and tell them to go. And that's kind of what makes them go. So, Kopak, the most important base for him against us tonight is don't let him steal first. If you can keep him off first base, he's not going to steal second and third. That's the key. If he gets to first, he's probably going to get one at some point. But our mission tonight is to keep him from stealing first base.
All right. By the way, in 4 career games against the Redhawks, he's 2 for 12. So you've done a nice job of keeping him off the base paths. The one guy who is raking for them, Coach, Greg Lambert. This guy was on a 7-game hitting streak, 15 for his last 28, went 9 for 13 against Tech, had a 7 RBI game against them, leads the Missouri Valley in doubles, 3rd in runs batted in. That is their hottest hitter.
When you talk to their coaches right now, we talked to their coaches this morning in preparation for Tennessee Tech. They almost have a sense of relief in their voices because they were picked to finish high in terms of the Valley. They have an old group, they have a veteran group, and they played very poorly early. Their coach's opinion was they had too many players who were draft eligible who were worried about the draft and not worried about playing good at Carbondale right now. And when I talked to their assistant this morning, there was some relief in his voice, and he's like, "This is the team we thought we were going to have." They feel like finally starting to play to their potential and play up to their abilities. So we're definitely catching them at a hot point with the sweep over Tech this weekend. But that's okay. I think they're going to be a different team away from Itchy Jones because of how their park, they are more built to the home run, to the stolen base and to be athletic and to run. And if they get into a little more offensive environment, they're probably not going to be at a huge advantage in an environment like that.
Their starting pitcher tonight, he has not made a start, so this will be his first start, 10 appearances out of the bullpen. His name is Jamison Steggy, 1-1, 7.90 ERA. I guess the thing that jumps out at you, that's a higher and run average, but 13 walks in 13 innings. So clearly control has been an issue for him. He has not hit a batter. He has not uncorked a wild pitch, believe it or not, but 13 walks in 13 innings.
So you see a guy like that, for him to be there and be given the opportunity, probably has good arm, right? Like he's got good stuff, but he doesn't command it very good. So sometimes the guy who's effectively wild, that could be a tough guy to prepare for because he's got good enough stuff that you need to be on go in order to get your swing off. If you've got a, left-hander who's, mid to upper 80s, you can't really wait around too long, because he's got a good arm and the ball's getting on you. At the same time, you want to take balls and control the strike zone. So sometimes those guys that are effectively wild, they can be a little bit of a tough challenge because you can't really just go straight to take because if they get ahead, they can punch you out. But at the same time, you don't want to be ultra aggressive because you're probably going to be swinging pitches at the periphery of the strike zone. So sometimes with a guy like this, I think the best approach to take is treat every pitch like it's a 3-0 green light. If you've got a 3-0 green light, you're ready to hit, you want to swing, but you're probably shrinking the strike zone to the pitch that you handle the best. And so with a guy like that he does have a pretty decent arm from what I've been told. You've got a guy with good stuff, but not great command. We want our guys to be in that 3-0 green light mentality where you want to swing and you're ready to swing, but you're shrinking the strike zone to what pitch you handle the best. And then you can maybe take some of those pitches that are on the periphery and take some of those strike balls, that pitch it's, strike ball, marginal type pitches. Hopefully you'll be able to take those pitches, but still get your swing off when you get a pitch over the middle of the plate.
You talk about 3-0 green light. I wanted to ask your philosophy about that. What's your philosophy on whether or not you're going to give one of your hitters a 3-0 green light, or do you very rarely believe in the 3-0 green light? I know some people believe, hey, if a walk is going to force a guy into scoring position, we're not going to go 3-0. Maybe try to jumpstart a guy that's been scuffling. He's probably going to get a good pitch. What's your 3-0 philosophy with your hitters?
If we've had a runner in scoring position, I'd say virtually everybody gets the green light 3-0. Oftentimes, that's the softest pitch you're going to see all game. You get a guy trying to throw a ball right down the middle and get a strike. And if there's a runner in scoring position, I have confidence with everybody in our lineup. If you're getting a BP fastball with a runner in scoring position, I want you to get your swing off. Now, you talk about like a runner at first base. Maybe it's more of a middle of the order, a guy, an extra base hit guy. Like if we have a runner at first base and Ozzy's at the plate, I want Ozzy getting a swing off 3-0. Like he might hit that thing over the street. it's amazing though how many times young men take pitches 3-0 just because they've always been taught not to swing. This cost us a run on Tuesday against SLU. I don't know if you remember, it's in the first inning. Was it Ozzie was on base, or we had a runner at third in the first inning with Danny Holst at the plate, and I think it was Ozzie. I think they threw the ball away, and Ozzie went to third on the pickoff attempt, if I'm remembering this right.
Okay.
So it's Ozzie at third base. It's a 3-0 count for Danny Holst, and we green light Danny Holst. It's our 3-hole hitter. You have a runner at third base. If he just puts the ball in play, it's an RBI for the Redhawks. They throw a middle fastball right down the hoot, and Danny takes it because he thinks we're trying to build an inning. And I'm in the dugout, and Coach Ring is their base like, it's an RBI, swing the bat. So they walk Danny the next pitch. So he's thinking he did right, man, I got on base. And then Tristan Gagnon hits a 100-mile-an-hour one hopper at the shortstop the next pitch, and it goes for a 6-4-3. We walk off the field, and I'm mad at Danny, and Coach Ringy's mad at Danny. He's like, Coach, I took a walk. I'm like, I don't want to walk. I want to run. And so when you have a runner in scoring position, and especially with a runner at third base with less than 2, we want our guys being aggressive. You take pitches to set innings up. Like, if you're the leadoff hitter, we want you being patient, maybe being disciplined to work a walk. RBIs on the board. We want our guys moving the bat. And right there, that happened just a week ago today. Danny Holst is given the green light. We tell him he can swing. He takes the middle fastball, ends up earning the walk, but we don't score out of it. And so when we clear our guys 3-0, we want them getting their swing off. And usually if there's a runner in scoring position, virtually everybody gets the green light. And then, sometimes if you might see a Gagnon or an Ozzie with a green light with a runner at first, but, that's probably not where you green light a Connor Bosler, for example, because if he gets a hit, it's probably not going to be an extra base hit. And so it still doesn't score. So you might make him take that pitch in order to get the guy to second base with a walk.
And you're talking about Dan Holst, 400 hitter, 500 on base, and maybe a guy that swings and misses the least on your ball club.
Yeah, I think I used one of my special words when he took the 3-0 fastball right down the middle, because it was an RBI, and he could. I mean, even if he misses it, it's a ground ball to the shortstop, and it drives in the run. But it's sometimes kids get afraid. It's 3-0, coach. I had to take every time when I was in Little League 3-0. That's how it always was. You got to take 3-0. Well, not necessarily. This is RBI opportunities are harder to come by at the Division I level. And if you've got a chance where contact drives in a run, you're swinging the bat. So sometimes you have to really coax them into knowing that it's okay. Because, right, if I make an out, I don't want you to be mad at me. It's like, I'm not mad at you. I want you to drive this run, and I want you to play with confidence and play. Sometimes we talk about the difference in playing not to make a mistake and playing to win. Sometimes you get that 3-0 situation. Kids, I don't want to, make an out. That's afraid of making the mistake. Whereas, I got a shot to get my swing off here. I'm going to drive this runner in.
All right. If I asked you, and it's probably not fair for me to ask you, but who leads your team in batting average with the bases loaded this year? 5 for 7 going into the Murray State Series. Who would you guess it would be?
I'm going to guess Connor Bosler.
Connor Bosler is the guy, but he's hitting .237. He's playing the heck out of shortstop. Just a freshman. But does that give you a sign that in a big spot, kind of, run producing type deal, that Connor Bosler is a guy that down the line is going to thrive in situations like that? It's pretty good for a freshman.
He's already thriving in that situation.
Yeah.
The thing about Connor is Connor's not having a great offensive year. Connor Bosler is a winner. He's a great competitor. I think he's going to be a fantastic offensive player. I know Redhawk fans were sorry to see Brandon Baguetto graduate and move on. I think Bosler is going to be a better player when it's all said and done than Bogey. And Bogey and I became pretty good friends. He helped us out in practice with us all January. He was always around. Bogey, I didn't get to coach Bogey, but I grew quite fond of him in a short amount of time. I think Boz is going to be a better version of Bogey when it's all said and done. Connor is not yet strong.
He probably has more range than Baguetto did even right now.
Yeah, Connor's not strong yet. He's still, he's 165 pounds soaking wet. He's still learning some things offensively, but he is not scared in the least bit. He's tough. You can get on him and he doesn't wilt. He's not afraid of a big situation. I sometimes I look at the stats myself, so I knew who was leading our team batting bases loaded.
But the average person would not have guessed Connor Bosler.
No, because he doesn't try to do any more than he's capable of. He takes the same swing where sometimes you get a guy bases loaded and they try to hit it 700 feet all the way up on top of Cherry Hill when, a line drive scores 2, maybe 3. So, Connor's that guy with composure, with toughness. I think he is going to be just a fantastic player for 4 years for us. And you look at spots on the field, coaches are always thinking recruiting, because if you get the roster right, if you get the right personnel, on the bus, you're probably going to take care of a lot of situations. You might think we're trying to recruit another shortstop because our shortstop's hitting 240. We are not. Like, Connor Bosler is our shortstop, and we believe in him. We are going to let him grow up, and I know that you're going to look up and we're going to win a championship with him being the leader on the middle of the field. He's just, he's an all-state quarterback. He won a state championship there. He's just a winner. He's a good competitor. He's a good human, like a young man of good character. We are 100% happy with him manning the shortstop position for years to come for us.
He's made some terrific defensive plays this year. All right, we will take one final time out, come back and talk about big, bad Tennessee Tech. The first place Golden Eagles are coming to Capitol Hall Park this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. More with Coach Andy Sawyers from Wings, etc. in Jackson. It's the SEMO Coaches Show on SEMO ESPN.
Has been growing about Wings, etc. See, Wings, etc. has those award-winning jumbo wings. They're popular for both dine-in and carry-out. Now, the word is getting out about Wings, etc.'s appetizer lineup. From the ultimate nachos to the deep-fried pickle spears, frankly, they're irresistible. Friends are sharing time together at Wings, etc. They've got dining rooms filled with HD TVs tuned to the best sports programming, including NFL Sunday Ticket. The people at the next table are talking about Wings, etc.'s daily half-pound lunch special, starting at just $6.49. Plus, Wings, etc. has food and drink specials throughout the week, including 59-cent wings every Monday. Plus, there's the kids menu, and Wings, etc. is family-friendly with video games in the dining room. And the whole community is excited about how Wings, etc. is locally owned and operated, and they're proud to support local athletes, their families, schools, and teams. I guess Wings, etc. is a really big deal around here.
And now, your ESPN Radio Network local weather forecast.
Springtime severe weather possible tomorrow, as we'll see strong severe storms break out tomorrow afternoon and continue through Wednesday night. Heavy rain possible Wednesday night and early Thursday. Sunshine here today, though, with a high 80. Clouds on the increase tonight, low 62. Scattered thunderstorms tomorrow. Tomorrow's high 77. We're true to Weather Good, the Weather Channel.
You're up to date with the latest weather forecast right here on the ESPN Radio Network.
This is Mike Greenberg for the best in local sports talk and play-by-play. It's SEMO ESPN.
Welcome back. Final segment, Redhawks Coaches Show at Wings, etc. in Jackson. Our final spring Redhawks Coaches Show is next Tuesday at 12 noon, and we'll be back in the Cape Girardeau location, so we hope you'll join us there. And we invite you, don't forget, on Mondays, they have special food and drink specials here at Wings, etc., including their award-winning wings for just 59 cents. And if you are trying to decide where you're going to watch the big Blues Predators playoff tilt tomorrow night, we invite you to come and watch it in high definition right here at Wings, etc. in Cape or in Jackson. All right, Coach Sawyers, Tennessee Tech comes to town this weekend. They've got some big numbers, a couple of guys with double-digit home runs. They have 3 players with more, well, actually 4 players with more than 35 RBI. I mean, the numbers that they're putting up are really ridiculous. They are second in the nation in runs scored. Their team batting average ranks 8th in the nation. No one has more hits in the country than Tennessee Tech. Big offense, but SIU showed you that
it can be done.
It can be done, yeah.
It can be done. They're I'm not going to say they're one-dimensional because when you're that good at what you do, sometimes you don't have to have great balance because they're so good at one thing. But, we are having – you look at the advanced weather forecast for this weekend, there's chance of rain all 3 days. We might have some north winds. We could have some thunderstorms. If our park plays big, if we get a little bit of a wind that's going to hold some fly balls up, they gear their game and their offense to the home run. and they play in a park that rewards that. So it's smart to do that, kind of like Murray State, Morehead State. They kind of gear what they do to their home field, and they're very good at it. However, if we get them in a different environment, just like Southern Illinois did this past weekend, it might be a different story. They've got good pitching. They've got a fantastic offense. If you look at maybe what would be a weakness, we talking to Southern Illinois, they thought you could really expose some things with the running game and doing some pressure things, going first to third and stealing bases and things like that. Because they typically have a big lead because their offense has been so good, teams really haven't tried to pressure them very much. When you're down by 7 runs, how many times you can try to steal a base, right?
Sure.
You're just going to not take chances, and you're going to be more station to station. And so I think they haven't maybe been exposed in that way as much as they could have been, because they typically are playing from in front. And when teams are behind, they're not going to try to short game very much. You're just going to have to wait around. And so I think there are some opportunities for us. And, like I said, it's tougher for us because Danny Holst is playing with a bum ankle. And obviously Trevor Ezell, our best stolen base guy, isn't even out there. But we're going to try to do more of that this weekend. We'll try to do a little more short game, do a little more running. If we can put some pressure on them, they have shown they're maybe not the best at defending that. You talk about the 4 stolen base game they gave up on Sunday and things like that. So
SIU stole 7 bases in that series against them.
Yeah, so there are some opportunities for us there with the running game. And just we're really good at Kappaugh. We've been very good at Kappaugh. And just, hopefully we're going to play our best baseball down the stretch when it matters the most.
Redhawks are 14-4 at Kappaugh this year. And by the way, in case you're wondering, 64 home runs for Tennessee Tech, 4th most in all of college baseball. So big offense coming in. That should be a fun series this week. The weather cooperates. We get the tailgates in. I mean, a lot of things line up for fun baseball this week, not only tonight at 6, but also this weekend with Tech.
That's right. And tonight we got a local boy running Chase Haggerty out there for a start. We got a local product. So I know there'll be a lot of people, a lot of family members out for him to support him and excited. He's had some up and down luck so far for us out of the bullpen, a couple of really fantastic outings. But he was up to 91 his last time. I didn't look at the stuff from this weekend at Murray, but I know he threw last weekend an inning out of the bullpen against SLU. Last Tuesday he was up to 91. He's a big, strong kid with a really good arm. Kind of similar to Ryan Lossman. For him to be effective, he's going to have to throw a breaking ball for a strike. And so it's kind of Chase's kind of challenge tonight is, can he be more than just a fastball? If he can spin a breaking ball for a strike and get Southern Illinois off the fastball where they just aren't able to sit dead red and just go on fastball timing all the time, I think he can have a chance for good success tonight, because they are mainly a right-handed dominated lineup. They don't have a lot of lefties in the lineup. So changeup's not going to play as much tonight. You can get by with just 2 pitches, fastball, breaking ball. And if Chase can show some command with that pitch and throw it for a strike, I think he can have a pretty good run for us tonight.
6 o'clock tonight, tailgate at the ballpark. We hope to see you there. If you're making plans for dinner, come on out to Kappaugh. We'll feed you the beverages as well. 6 o'clock game with SIU Carbondale. Coach, we'll see you over there. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
All right, that's Coach Andy Sawyers. That'll do it for the Redhawks Coaches Show. Rosillo and Cannell coming up next. So long, everybody, from Wings.
Missouri's ESPN Radio Sports Network, 92.9 KLSC Holden, 1220 KGIR, Cape Girardeau, and 14